In the beginning of this project, I recalled the movie I had watched previously called Chongqing Express, which is directed by Wong Kar-wai. I can feel the anxiety and loneliness he wanted to convey through his filming techniques. After that, I watched his other representative works, and I decided to use his film as an example to investigate alienation in movies. How alienation illustrates in Wong Kar-wai's movie can be separated into 4 categories, which are perspective, inner monologue, story, and color pattern. To begin with the perspective, Wong Kar-wai is an expert in using different photographic techniques to convey loneliness and isolation. In Happy Together, the cinematographer shoots the cab from the front, using the edge of the cab as a frame and places the characters into it. The cab takes up 2/3 of the frame, creating a depressing atmosphere in an already small space. The same technique is used in The Taste of Love, in which the 2 characters feel trapped in a limited space created by the cab. The shooting technique also metaphorically reflects the constraints of the general environment. Another example is that in Wong Kar-wai's film there is always a transparent wall that separates the character from the environment. In Falling Angels, the characters are so close to the camera that they are calm and even smiling, while the characters in the background are arguing, like people from 2 worlds, thus creating a stark contrast. This technique of separating characters from the environment expresses a sense of indifference and alienation between people. Everyone lives in his or her own world instead of connecting to the outside world.
不知道什么时候开始，我变成一个很小心的人。每一次穿雨衣，我都会戴太阳眼镜。你永远都不会知道什么时候会下雨，什么时候出太阳。
In Wong Kar-wai's movies, most of the time is internal monologue of the character rather than the form of dialogue. I conduct a study on the role of monologue in film. A monologue is the externalization of a character's own psychology. They are usually used to support the narrative, reveal the scene, and portray the character.
他走了之后，家里很多东西都很伤心。每天晚上我都要安慰他们才能睡觉。你知不知道
Many of these monologues are the hidden voices of the characters that are not known or not wanted to be known and are difficult to be understood by others. The characters in Wong Kar-wai's film are generally absorbed in their own words, refusing to understand others or to be understood. Maybe some of them do not know how to express their thoughts by speaking, or they think speaking cannot express their
我叫你
feelings.
不要哭啊！你要哭到什么时候？做人要坚强一点嘛。
The characters in the movies are in a very fast-paced environment. They want to be loved or to love, but even though they're involved in each other's lives, there's a transparent wall between them. Wong Kar-wai used a fragmented plot to know the story, putting several seemingly different time and space concerning the related story together, linked to a certain thread. They all exist in the same time and space, with their own experiences. Perhaps he wants the audience to define the relationship between the characters themselves, so there's no clear explanation of the background of the characters and the ending. Because the story is obscure and fragmented, without background, which allows for the characters to be more distant. He has a deep understanding of the city and the century in which he lives in, and he found an appropriate way to express his own experience of life in such environment. With small characters as the main characters, displaying their inability to change the current situation to set the background of the big time, loneliness, contradictions, and absurdity. The color palette in Wong Kar-wai's films has a very strong personal style. Most of the scenes are dominated by blue and green tones, which usually associate with sadness and desolation, and create an atmosphere of loneliness and isolation. In Happy Together, after they have a fight, Livy was sitting in a pier all alone. The color changed from a warm tone to a cold tone, which aroused the feeling of alienation and sadness. In Days of Being Wild, the protagonist was abandoned by his birth mother and had a wandering, ruleless, and confused psychology. In this movie, the low saturation of green occupies most of the film. It succeeds in creating a disillusioned era of social unrest, emotional drift, inner confusion, and lack of enthusiasm. In Chongqing Forest, he wants to convey a general feeling of loneliness among modern youth, and let the audience emphasize with it. So he used elaborate shots and exaggerated colors. Color is the most emotional powerful, and the film's green and red atmosphere has a melancholy feel to it. and the red lights are unsettling. All of them are common emotions of modern people. Wong Kar-wai didn't write profound philosophy or truths that make people reflect in his films, but rather uses an approach that is easier to understand to amplify the little things in life. These thoughts, composed through small things, are really moments in life that touches us, and such trigger an explosion of philosophy. His films are unique and full of his own personality. The unpredictable angle of scene, the unique use of color, the fragmented story backgrounds, and the inner monologue all create a detached, alienated atmosphere. It shows the people in the city corners in the best way possible.
Que te nace de amar.